what would you say is like something that you would tell the parents?
Just about addiction in general, to educate themselves on what addiction is, and also what recovery support services are available. Because a lot of times, if I go by my own experience, my parents really didn't know what to expect and what addiction was, so they were just like, oh shit, trying to figure out the best ways to be supportive and help me, when they really didn't have any information or any point of reference.
Right.
So in order to do the best with that, I think that educate themselves.
Yeah, education is a key component of anything, really, right?
Yeah.
But when you start looking at like addiction and you think about like, that one's mine. Get out of the way so we don't get hit. But when you start looking at like education components, I think a lot of times, it's always, as a parent myself, it's always my worst fear to find out something negative about your kids, right? Mm-hmm. But in today's society, bro, you hear about so much stuff with our youth, right? Like they go to hang out with friends and, they didn't know that their friends as friends were doing something, and then they get peer pressured into doing something, and then they lose their life, right? But if parents aren't afraid to educate themselves, mm-hmm. and then not afraid to have that conversation with their kids, mm-hmm. it keeps them out of services.
Yep.
Right? Keeps them alive, but keeps them out of services.
Right. Yeah, I think fear is a huge component.
Yeah. So when you start looking at like, how would a parent reach out to 4D if they're in need of help?
There's several different ways. Our website is probably the main source. You can go on Google, or you can call our number if you so happen to have it. But we're pretty easily accessible. I think that we do a good job of promoting our recovery support services. But yeah, they go on the website. Depending on what they wanted, they can fill out a referral form. That referral form then goes to the recovery service director and then gets delegated, depending on what region the person needs services, to the appropriate supervisor.
Nice.
And then they'll give them a call.
That's perfect. Hopefully we don't get hit right now.
Yeah, I hope not.
That would really suck.
Yeah. We caught that one.
Yeah, I think that the key is, like you were saying, right, is that education component for parents. Mm-hmm. Because knowledge is power, right? I've continued to say that every time we do an episode, because having the understanding of what it is key. Another thing that I find interesting for education for parents is to be actively educating themselves. Even you deal with youth way more than I do, right? Mm-hmm. But even as a parent, as I work with law enforcement and as I do the things that I do, dude, I learned different terminology and different things that, mm-hmm. There was like some slang for drugs, right? Like black, chiva, right? Yeah. Right, for like heroin, or like for meth, it was, people would call it shit, or, mm-hmm. Like all of these different all of these different terminologies. But like today, dude, they got so much slang. It's just not fentanyl, right? It's not, mm-hmm. Now it's Fetty and blues and 33s and like all of this mm-hmm. crazy stuff, but it's like constantly changing, mm-hmm. because even the kids are doing and trying to do a better job of getting away with what they do.
Right.
It's nuts.
Right.
This has got to be you?
I'm hoping so.
Bro, that was smashed.
Dude, that was it. Oh yeah.
That's you, bro.
I'm satisfied with it. How far out?
220.
220?
220. Smashed it. Oh, there we go.
If you're a parent, are you a parent?
Yeah.
Okay. If you're a parent of a teenage boy or girl, what would your recommendation be to a parent if they suspect that their parent or their child is potentially using, or they're noticing behavior that isn't quite consistent with who they are or what they should be, or who they normally are?
So I think just having honest conversation, kind of direct, is where I would start. And, I think sometimes parents struggle a little bit on trying to figure out whether they're enabling or being too hard, because you want to be able to keep communication open. And so if I was a parent and I thought my kid was struggling, or I knew my kid was struggling, I would want to get connected with like invitation to change groups, which kind of give us some tools on how to maintain that open communication where the kid feels comfortable coming and talking to the parent. And just that way too, the parents can get some community that understands what they're going through. I will say if you're in Oregon and your kid needs help right now, there's not a whole lot of actual services that they can access, especially if they don't come from a family that has a lot of money. And I think, we need to mobilize our parents and we need to mobilize our workforce to demand that changes. And so that's what I'm kind of focusing on right now earlier I said, we had 37,000 kids struggling with substance use disorder, yet only 36 treatment beds for them to access. And those treatment beds include ones that require private insurance. And so I think we need to all come together and mobilize and build that system out. But aside from that, I think clear communication, trying to keep the conversation open. So maybe sometimes sitting through a conversation that you don't necessarily want to hear all the details to, but just so they feel safe coming to you with them. I know I have a 13-year-old daughter, and so a lot of the conversation right now is about boys, and I do not want to hear some of it, but I also want my daughter to know she can come to me. And I think it's kind of the same principle there. Please
Get
jump.
over.
Please jump.
Oh, it listened. So along those same lines, so like from the law enforcement perspective, we'd have parents that would come to us all the time and ask, what do we do? And we'd talk to them about, have those conversations. But then I was always like, as well as like, you need to know one way or the other, they're living under your roof.
Yeah.
They're a minor. They have no right necessarily to privacy.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people think that they might. Go search their room. Look to see what they have and what they're hiding in there.
Set boundaries.
And let them know. You're going to be watching. But then the hard thing is once if you find something, how to have that conversation like you're talking about, because your initial worry as a parent is, I'm worried, I'm mad, I didn't raise you to be this way, right? So
Well, I think that's if I could offer any advice, and I don't know exactly what the solution is, but I think parents sometimes look at it and they think they did something wrong, and they start beating themselves up for it. And at this moment, it's not about them at all. And so they need to stop personalizing it, I feel like, and be there for their kid.
right. And that's hard for a parent to be able to say, I did nothing wrong. It really is.
I think, we just got to remember we're all humans having a human experience, doing the best we can with the information that we have.
Yeah.
And so, there's stuff we can learn how to improve on and do better and all that stuff. But I've seen a lot of parents, especially parents in recovery, get clean, and then later on their kids are struggling with the same things, and then they're parenting out of guilt, and that's not helpful either.
What do you mean by that, parenting out of guilt?
Meaning they kind of want to be the kid's best friend versus like that authority figure that they need, that's setting the boundaries, that's helping them set goals, that's keeping things in perspective, right? Because they have so much guilt, all they want is to keep that relationship up, so they're kind of afraid of the confrontation.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of that firsthand when in my job is you talk to parents or you interact with parents of troubled youth, and the parents are wanting to be the kid's best friend as opposed to being the parent figure. And when that happens, then the kids tread all over the parents. They get to do whatever they want to do. There's no consequences in the home, or for anything that happens in the home, or even much less outside the home. So, are these things that you talk to the parents about it at 4D as well, or?
So the first year we focus just on building out the youth services. Right now we're adding in, and we also contracted with a woman named Megan McAvoy to run our invitation to change groups, and there she worked on healthy boundary setting, healthy communication. Now this upcoming year, I'm working to meet the parents once a week, talk to them about what their goals are for their kid and for themselves. And then over a period of time, we're going to bring the kids' goals and the parents' goals closer together, and really work on that family unification piece.
Good.
A little bit higher into that brake.
Oh my.
Trying to hit it straight at it because I don't know which way it's going to go. The birdie dance avoids me again. Good putt.
Save that par.